YoraHome family, and welcome to the March edition of Creators Night. Tonight we are going to talk to you about using the Rotary with the CO2 lasers. Our guest tonight is Jeremy, one of our YoraHome ambassadors and team members. You talk to him all the time on the customer service lines. He's going to walk us through the process of using the Rotary and working with Tumblers, something that you guys have all asked for whenever I ask for suggestions. So here you go. Hopefully this helps you guys learn better about rotaries. Remember, this is with a CO2. This is not the same rotaries that the 6550 uses. I have the chat feed being monitored, so when you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask us in the chat on this live feed, and we will monitor that and answer them as we go. So I'm going to turn the camera over to Jeremy, and we'll see you soon.
Good evening, everybody. So please be patient with me. This is my first time doing this, so I may be a little bit hesitant on some things when trying to figure all this technology out. So the project that I'm going to be showing you here in just a little bit on the video, it's a pre-recorded video that we're going to be playing, and it will be playing faster than normal speed. The project actually took about an hour to do. I don't know if you can see it real well with the lighting in here, but it was just a little Tinkerbell, and it says all you need is faith, trust, and a little pixie dust. But it's a cute little tumbler. Like I said, it did take about an hour to do, even with the CO2, which yes, it is faster, but I'm not exactly for sure, as I have never used the 6550 with the Rotary, how much faster it would have been, or it is, than compared to the 6550. I was able to do it at 20 millimeters a second, which is roughly 4 inches a second, and about 20% power. So
about an inch per second. About an inch per second. 25 millimeters to the inch.
Oh yeah, sorry, about an inch per second. My math's a little off today. This is the TLC, or not the TLC, this is the Rotary for the CO2s. It is adjustable, as you can see, as far as the slide back and forth. Oh, Jim had to tighten it down on me. You're able to slide it back and forth to do longer objects, or slide it closer to do shorter objects. It's 4 rubber wheels. It has a screw adjustment, so if you're doing something that is tapered, this part will actually raise up to where you are able to level everything out on your being tapered, and then it just plugs into a port on the CO2 lasers. We also had a second style that I did not use in this video, but it's a chuck style rotary attachment that has the chuck on one end that you adjust to fit your cup or whatever you're doing, and then it has a pointed end on the other end just like this that you slide up, meet, and then you can tighten it down to where you're able to rotate. And sorry, I thought maybe I had some. But I love this. This was a neat little project to do. There was really not a whole lot of setup in it. We have learned that with the current CO2s that we have recently been selling out of this new batch, we will need to flash the firmware on the machine. Tony has already prepared a instructional video on how to do this and how to actually set up the rotary in Lightburn. So it's a quick, easy little process, and once you've done that, you'll plug in your rotary and you're good to go.
Will this style rotary only work with the CO2s?
Do it. Yes, this rotary will only work with the CO2s.
Yes, it uses the aviation style connectors to connect to the ports on the CO2 that are provided. It will not be compatible with either the 6550 or the CNC machines.
We are coming out with a new style rotary for the 6550 that is going to be set up to where it's going to be able to do tumblers and what have you, but we're also hoping to be able to do smaller projects, such as, you know, get it down to the size of an ink pen, that type of thing. And then there's other rotaries that are being developed at the moment for the Silverback, the Mandrel, and the 3018. I've seen them, or the prototypes of them. They look cool. I actually can't wait to get my hands on the one for the Silverback. I've got plans for it already. Anybody have any questions?
That was the only question so far.
Oh, okay.
Just briefly touch on what you got to do in light burn.
In light burn,
As far as making sure you get your sizing right and whatnot.
in light burn, I did discover today that every tumbler is different in size. You may have a 4-inch round, 6-inch round, and just depending on the size, you will have to make adjustments based on that. If you go up underneath, I don't have a light burn screen in front of me, sorry, I'm trying to remember. But if you go up under tools, and then I think it's laser tools, you'll see where you can set up the rotary attachment. Like I said, Tony's coming up with, or has already got the video for this, to where it'll walk you through being able to set everything up, be able to quickly get started. Now, I will tell you, after trial and error today, there is a need. If you're going to do a tumbler, and you got a customer that wants 40 tumblers for their company, well, that's great. Make sure you buy 42, 43 of them, just so you have spares. And also, that first one, you're going to have to do tests on it to see the settings exactly what you need, as far as being able to burn all the way through the rubber coating, but don't burn all the way to where you're deforming the cup, or too hot to where you're deforming the cup.
Point out like opposite.
On the powder coating, or powder coated ones, you're going to want to actually have different settings for that as well, because it's not as hard to burn through. Now, the other thing, and Tony shared with me earlier, that I did have to reverse the image as far as when I started the project, so that it would burn properly onto the surface. And like this tumbler here has a closed lid, which thank God that didn't spill out. But I actually filled the tumbler full of water, so that it has the weight on the wheels, to where when the wheels are rotating, the tumbler rotates smoothly instead of slipping on the wheels. You can also use something like rice if you have a regular tumbler where you can't seal it off. Still put the lid on it, but put rice in the tumbler to give it some weight, or brown beans, whatever you have handy. Just pour them into the tumbler, put your lid on the tumbler, and it'll give it some weight to where it'll help keep it from slipping on the wheels. I mean, they are rubber wheels, and if you run your finger across them, it feels like they have grip. But when you've got a tumbler that weighs an ounce or two, it just doesn't have the pressure pushing down on those wheels to give it efficient grip. The other thing behind that practice tumbler is also important to make sure you get those settings right, because with these rotaries, I've definitely noticed trying to do a second burn is not necessarily an option, because there's enough slippage that it doesn't realign correctly. That's not anything as far as our fault on designing them. It's just the nature of the beast that, that tumbler's just slipping just enough that when you go to start that second burn, it's just a little bit off, and then it messes up the whole project. So also make sure that when you're doing them, you're dead center of your tumbler when you're aligning your CO2 over it, because if it is just a little bit off, I don't know if you can see it here, you'll see that dark spot in this. When I first went to do it, I was just a little bit off center, and you can see that the CO2 burnt dark, and then all of a sudden it got silver. I have actually rubbed that dark spot with alcohol and stuff to take it off. It did not take it off. So that's another thing, making sure that you're perfectly centered underneath your laser when you're doing this, because if not, then you'll end up with a spot like that you're not going to want to pass on to customers or family members ever who you're making the tumbler for.
Depends on your family.
Huh?
Depends on your family.
Well, yeah, it depends on your family. If you got some family members like mine, hey, give them the junk one. Anything else going on over here?
You just had some questions about time frame. Mention of the time frame on these CO2 rotaries. As far as availability of them, we actually have a handful of these in stock here in the U.S. warehouse right now. Both the chuck style and the roller style. But again, these are only for the CO2s. And from Tony's work earlier today, it's only wired for the 60 and 100 watt units.
Yes. The ones that, the people who have the 40 watt units right now, they will not work. I'm one of those people as well, and I hadn't realized that the plug in the 40 watt unit is a 4-prong, where the rotary attachment needs a 3-prong. So we are looking at ways for that to be changed, and maybe getting an adapter to where we're going to be able to use, or the people who already have 40 watts will be able to use these rotaries. I don't have an ETA on it. We literally just discovered that a few hours ago, so we're going to be talking to the manufacturer later on this week, and finding out what they can do and how we can get around this. We're not for sure why the 40 watt ended up with a different plug. The other thing to remember, if this is just another little thing that's going to push you over on getting that CO2 that you've been wanting, we do not have, or we actually just sold our last 40 watt that we had here in the U.S., and we have sold out of the 100 watts that we had here in the U.S. We do have 4 60 watt CO2s left here in the U.S. They will ship out of Belpre, Ohio, right across the river actually from West Virginia, but they will be shipping usually within the same week that you order. So if you order on Monday, chances are by Thursday the machine's going to be shipping out to you. Usually, unless you are way out in the middle of nowhere, they'll get to you within a week, maybe a week and a half, just depending on exactly where you're located. They're shipped out on a flatbed truck with a drop gate, lift gate, so they're able to deliver to you on a pallet jack. I can't guarantee they're going to bring it in your house for you, but they will get it as close as they can for you, so that you're able to move it from there.
And that truck freight with residential delivery is included in the purchase price of those machines.
Yes, delivery is included for any of the CO2s. I've always dreamed of one. This past week, I actually, or not this past week, but this beginning of this year, I actually bought a 60 watt and a 40 watt, and I love it. I'm hooked. I don't know that I've actually done maybe more than one job on my 6550 since I've had them. Anything I can get into it, trust me, that's where it's going. That's CO2 laser, just because of the speed. You're going millimeters per second on the CO2, where with the 6550, you're looking at millimeters per minute. Okay, what was on the question? I thought there was
someone just asked for rough time estimate. I asked for clarification if they meant time that the job took or time that the rotaries.
As far as the time the job took, like I said earlier, it was an hour-long job. We will be starting a video here momentarily for you. The video has been sped up ×8, I believe Jim told me, just so that you're not having to sit here for an hour watching the video. And it was a little hard to focus on this because of the shiny in the video, but you can see where the laser's going back and forth, engraving on it. Like I said, you do want to make sure when you're doing it that you have a test one of these. I mean, yes, I understand they're not necessarily always cheap, but every one of these, as far as brands, is going to be different. You can't just automatically assume that, hey, I did a Yeti tumbler yesterday and it took this temperature. Today I'm going to do one of these cheap ones from Walmart and it burned the same, because they don't. The powder coating, of course, comes off easier than the rubber coated stainless steel. But this, I mean, I didn't have to do any cleanup on this. It literally came out ready to, I mean, I would have put it on the shelf right away. Again, I do recommend, if it's got a sealed top, filling it with water and that just gives it that weight so it don't slide around on the rollers as much. If it doesn't have a sealable top, if you're doing like a Yeti cup or what have you, like I said, try the brown beans or the rice in it. You may need to put them in a Ziploc bag if you're using rice so it don't come out the pore, but still try that just to give it enough weight so that you don't have the slippage. And you could probably even do that on the TLC rotaries as well. I mean, you don't want to add a whole lot of weight on those, but it would still help on the slippage part of that.
Talk about the painter's tape for a test burn.
Oh, painter's tape, the other best friend. If you're going to do a test and you're wanting to make sure you're centered and what have you, put painter's tape on these. And then set your power low just enough where you're just barely making a line on the painter's tape. You can make you a square the same size. You'll be able to see directly right away if you're centered where you need to be centered, or if you need to make any adjustments, up, down, side to side, what have you. Like I said, we've had these for a while. It took us a little bit to figure out exactly how we needed to figure out exactly how to get everything up and going. This 2 weeks ago when we were all here in Ohio, we sat down, spent the time. Tony did a whole lot of internet searches and investigating to figure out how to get our controller to work properly with the rotary attachment. Big thanks to him, because the rest of us were sitting here scratching our heads going, yeah, that ain't going to work. Tony was able to figure it out in a few hours, and he was able to figure out how to quickly get it to where we can flash the firmware on the controllers on the CO2s. Like I said, he's put together a great video on how to do that, and we are now able to send these starting tomorrow. We can start sending them out the door to the people who already have CO2s and are wanting to order them. I'm not exactly for sure on the pricing yet, but they'll be well worth the money. They're very well built. It's all metal construction except for the rubber wheels and the rubber belts to drive the wheels. Do what?
Go on to the video.
Okay, I'm going to go on to the video here and start showing you what's going on. Alright, you'll see me here. I've got it lined up, ready to go, and then you just start seeing the laser going back and forth. Now, I do apologize. You'll see a little bit of shaky camera in here, me readjusting to make sure that I can get the best focus on it, but here you'll see me getting better focus in on it and seeing how it actually looks as it's engraving. Yeah, give us just a second here. We're going to slow it down just a little bit because, yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. There you're getting a good view of the engraving as it's happening. Same thing as the 6550. It goes back and forth, skipping over the spots that doesn't need to be engraved. Like I said, the big difference with that CO2 is you're talking millimeters per second versus millimeters per minute. I mean, yeah, it still wasn't the fastest project around, but I guarantee I probably didn't take a third of the time that it would have on the 6550. And they, like I said, it came out clean. I would have put it on the shelf right after it came off the machine. The built on the bottom where it says built, that's actually the brand name of the tumbler. That is not something that I engraved on there. This was just an engraving of Tinkerbell, and then like I said, it says all you need is faith, trust, and a little pixie dust. Just something I was able to download on the internet and put on here. Anything new? Sorry.
Not a whole lot to discuss.
Yeah.
As Jeremy mentioned, we do have the video that's coming out. I know that we have at least one customer that did purchase the CO2 laser and the rotary and was awaiting us getting this taken care of before we ship that rotary to them. So that'll be going out here hopefully tomorrow. The big thing, as we've tried to do with all of our equipment, we want to make sure it's right before we get it to the customer. So we apologize if there have been delays, but we wanted to make sure that when you get this device, you're able to start using it without having to do all that internet research to figure it out.
Right. We want you to be able to open the box, go to Tony's video, follow it through just like you would for setting up the machine, and be able to use it. Not to have to call us, email us, and all that, and wait days to be able to use it. We want you up and going within a matter of a couple hours at the most. And it's not only this product right now, but we try to do this with every machine that we sell. We don't just ship it out to you just because we thought it looked pretty. We do our research. We try to get as much information ahead of time before any customer ever receives it. That way we can be ready for when people have questions. Now there are some things that customers come up with that kind of take us by surprise. So yes, we do have to contact the manufacturer and get their feedback because it was just something that we never saw coming. So we're not exactly for sure how to go about things. But trust us, we want you to have the best experience with any of our products. So we are going to go above and beyond to make sure that happens. I know there are some people who get frustrated because we put machines out and we don't have every accessory available for them right away. We try to make sure that we have as much available as possible, but in the case, we'll say for instance the 6060 and the air assist for that, yes, we do sell the laser for that machine, but the primary goal that we had when we released that machine was getting a great CNC router out. The laser part is kind of a secondary option on that machine, so we didn't focus necessarily on making sure that we had an air assist that would work with that. But we do have one in the plans. It's actually, I think Tony's come up with a working model for it. It's just going to be getting it into production and getting it out for sale. We are constantly trying to improve everything that we sell. So if you have feedback on something, let us know. We're not going to get mad at you because you call us or email us and say, hey, I like this machine, but maybe look at doing this. That's how we learn. That's how we improve. We have a brand new 6550 that's going to be coming out, and we're actually going to be getting the first production one here in a couple of days, maybe next week, hopefully. But as soon as it comes in, you can guarantee that I'm going to put it in our showroom, and I'm going to run it through everything that I can think of, whether it's using the TLC rotary attachment, burning barrel heads, burning acrylic, whatever I can come up with, you can guarantee it's going to go through it before we ever release it to the public, just because we want to make sure that it's going to meet the standards of the customers.
As Jeremy mentioned, your feedback helps us with development. Right now, we are looking at improvements that can be made to the silverback machines. We've gotten some feedback from some of our ambassadors, but we want to hear from you, our rest of our customers. What would you like to see on that machine? We can't guarantee that everything will be implemented, but if we don't get your feedback, we may miss a feature that we didn't think of, that we can even take into consideration for it.
That's right.
So please let us know if you have feedback on what you think could be improved.
And there's one, since we're on the topic of rotaries tonight, yes, this is for the rotary for the CO2, but like I mentioned earlier, there are rotary attachments coming out for the silverback, for the 3036, and for the 3018. Which one of them is going to be able to be used also with the 6550? And one of them,
I believe the one for the 3018 and 3036 will have the connector that is compatible with the 6550 as well.
okay. So yeah, so it will also be able to be used. As far as I understand, it will be able to be used along with the 6550 as well. So, you know, like I said, we're always trying to improve. We're always trying to give you all the best that we can. But we also want to make it affordable to you. I mean, we can offer you stuff all day long, but if the price point's above what people are wanting to pay or can afford to pay, it doesn't do much good to offer to you. So we're trying to make sure we get you the best product that we can as quickly as we can, but make it affordable and make it easy to use. You know.
Now we're getting into the bulk of it.
All right. Yeah, if you look at the video now, you'll see that we're getting into where it's getting into Tinkerbell, so it's going to be more of a constant burn back and forth. As you can see by watching it, you don't see the rotary really turning very fast at all. Like I said, this was done at 20 millimeters a second, and then also at the power of 20% power. It is I would say probably a third, maybe half of the time that it would probably have taken on the 6550 to do this. My speeds, my power is not the standard that you got to go by. I'm not saying that there's not room for improvement on those speeds and power, but this worked. It gave me a great clear image, and as you all have heard me say before, I don't necessarily always go for the speed on things. I want the perfection at the end. I want my customer to look at it and be wowed. So, you know, like I said, there may be some improvement of getting it to go a little bit faster and what have you, but this definitely worked. Do what?
Show some of the mess ups so they see the difference.
So some of the what?
Where you had a mistake on something.
Oh,
We can't. One caveat to this video that I want to
know.
make sure we put in here as well is the video that you are seeing was filmed with the lid open on this machine. This is not normal operation, so please use caution when running your laser. We make sure that everybody stays clear of these machines when we're performing these sort of operations. But one other neat thing to note is as this was being burned, the exhaust fan was not running.
yeah.
You'll notice there's no smoke coming off of this at all.
The only thing that was running on this was the laser and the air assist. There was no exhaust fan running. I didn't really notice it. Angie could smell a little bit of, I guess, fumes from it. I didn't notice it, but considering I'm constantly burning wood and stuff all day long, I guess I've just gotten used to it.
The asthmatic noticed.
Yeah, that and she's got asthma, so she notices a lot more than I do.
Your boo-boo's down in the shop.
But yeah, my boo-boo's down in the shop. But I didn't lock it yet. But Jim's gonna go get my mistake cup or my trial cup to show you some of the lessons I learned today. That's why I'm trying to pass this stuff on, and it's don't only work with just the CO2. These lessons are for the other rotary attachments as well, just because, you know, nobody's perfect out of the gate. Just because we have expert by our name or moderator whatever on our tags here on Facebook does not make us perfect. We learn by trial and error, and today I learned by trial and error. Luckily it wasn't on a $20 Yeti cup or something, or ever how much they are. It was on a Walmart brand, but still I bought extra thinking, you know, hey, I can do these later on. Ended up I needed them today because of trial and error. These, I can't say enough when it comes to the CO2s. I can't say enough about the rotary. This is my new hobby right now. I'm gonna be playing with the rotary. I don't know what I'm gonna be putting on stuff, but I'm gonna be playing with the rotary. You can guarantee it. Anything?
Someone asked if it can cut mirrored acrylic. I'm assuming he means the CO2. He didn't specify.
If you're,
can it cut?
if you're referring to mirror acrylic, the only thing I would focus on any mirrored thing is you've got to remember, you take that chance of it reflecting back up into the lens, reflecting, you know, back up and causing damage. So when it comes to mirrored anything, you really want to take a chance, or not take a chance, but you really want to use caution. Me personally, even on glass, now the CO2 does great on glass as far as engraving it, but you don't have, as far as the anything that's mirrored, that's meant to reflect right back up into something or right back at you, I would use caution. I would maybe even put something like masking tape on it just to kind of help cut down on any mirrored effect that it would have. As far as CO2's cutting acrylic, yes, they can. They do great. I've cut up to, I think, 1/4 inch as big as or as thick as I've cut, but does great and does it fast. Alright, so I'm going to show you a little bit some different mistakes here that I made today in learning. If you look at this one, another YoraHome, this was the very first thing I did. If you see the very top, you'll see where it's black. Another instance where I was off center and it started out black. I noticed it and kind of nudged it over just a little bit and was able to get it to burn pure, or burn like it was supposed to. The other thing, let's see, this is where I learned that I needed to mirror my images, because I put everything in there like you're supposed to, where you read left to right. Well, when it started the opposite way, so I learned to mirror my images. Learning, I was practicing different alignments. This one I did, and I actually realized that it didn't look quite right, and I looked at the size that it was supposed to be on the screen, and then looked back and got the tape measure out and actually measured what it had done, realized it was off. So I had to go back and start doing test squares to get my numbers right, so that when my square measured 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, it actually engraved 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. That's what I'm saying. Every tumbler brand, everything that you do, is going to take different settings, whether it's in the power settings for the cutting or in the settings that you're entering for the rotary attachment. Jim actually brought up our other rotary attachment. This is the jaws or clamp attachment. Do it, chuck clamp. Yeah. But as you can see, there ain't nothing lightweight about it. Again, these are only meant for the CO2 lasers. They will not work with the 6550, and they will not work with our rotary machines. Or CNC machines, sorry. But as you see, it's got the slidable into it to where you can adjust it to wherever length you need, and then you tighten it down. It's got a chuck key that actually used for tightening it down, but you'll tighten it down, and then these have I forgot what it's called. You only have to turn one of the chuck keys, and all of them open up and close together, so you don't have to worry about your alignment.
Similar to a lathe chuck. Similar to a lathe chuck.
Yes, they're similar to a lathe chuck for people who have been in and around the machine shops and what have you. Thank you. It was getting a little heavy. They
really want to know how you set up the rotary and how to do the tumbler, not just showing the results. They want to know the process.
I don't have that available right here. I didn't film that part of it.
Yeah, we didn't. That's in part of Tony's video.
Yeah,
for doing the setup.
They said that this was broadcast that it was going to teach them how to do tumblers.
I do a
Can we get Tony?
We can't easily get Tony in on it. No.
Tony's in comments. So.
Okay, yeah. Tony has the video that he'll be releasing as far as doing the tumblers.
It will be posted later this evening.
It will be posted later this evening as far as setting it up in Lightburn and what it's going to take to get everything up and going. Now remember, this is for CO2s and for the rotary attachments.
He wants this rotary, so he wants to know how to use this rotary.
Our apologies on that. We do these sessions here not near the machine. Part of that is because of the noise of the machines. So I wouldn't be able to actually show on this computer the proper setup because it's not connected to a machine that would understand what the heck we're talking about.
Right.
So, but
I
did get that video of how to set it up, and we'll get that posted as soon as we can.
And we will also be making, hopefully here soon, we will be making instructional videos on how to do different things with different machines. Common questions that we get, we're going to start kind of making little instructional videos, whether they be a 5-minute video or whatever length needed, but to start helping people even more with their machines. I know a lot of people, if you show them how to do something, they pick things up a whole lot easier than telling them. So our goal is going to start doing instructional videos on different aspects in different programs and what have you.
To Chris Burke's comment regarding this rotary, I know you've got one of the older CO2s. I am not 100% positive of compatibility with this rotary and the older CO2s. We have one of the older models here in the showroom. We'll have to check that out and see if they are compatible. And we can let you know about that. It may be that it would require some modification to the cabling to get it to work properly with that machine. Different manufacturers from what we used to sell.
Maybe tomorrow. I can't guarantee tomorrow, but I'll try over the weekend of maybe doing like I did with the Silverback. I'll try to do a time-lapse video of me doing the setup and do slow setup and light burn, and then time-lapse video of the rotary and the job being done. That may be able to answer some questions as well. Like I said, I can't guarantee I can get it done tomorrow, but I will try to get that accomplished over the weekend and get it posted.
Any other questions, Matt?
No, they just wanted the instruction. A couple people are disappointed.
I'm sorry to disappoint. Like I said, I was asked to do the video of the rotary being used, I didn't realize that I needed to shoot that part as well, or I would have. But I will get something posted over the weekend showing how I set it up and then showing the project being done. Like I said, it'll probably be a time lapse on the project, maybe not on the light burn section of it, but I will get something set up. Alright. Well, thank you all for joining us.
For next month.
And I'm going to turn you back over to Angie. Oh, no. Okay, what am I asking you?
What's next month?
What's it? Give me just a second, guys.
Oh. Stay tuned. Watch your email for the announcement for the next Creators Night. We are hoping that we're going to be able to highlight the fiber laser next month. We have one in transit. If we can get it here in time, we will definitely be highlighting that. Schedule may change, so if that's the case, keep an eye on your email, and we'll have an announcement coming out as middle of next month with what the next topic will be.
And as always, you know, send us an email if you do have ideas of something that you think would be beneficial to the whole group. We're always looking to help everybody out as much as we can. I will, again, like I said, try to get that video released this weekend as far as setting it up in Lightburn, and so people can see it doesn't take much to do it. Trust me, today was my first day on this, and I was able to do it. The big thing, like I said, is remembering to have a practice tumbler of the same manufacturer as what you're planning on doing, just so that you can get those settings down right. Because I did notice on my very first burn before I got in with Tony today, I did it, like I said, one of the Walmart brand rubber coated stainless steel tumblers, and I had it so hot on the power that it literally warped the tumblers. So if that would have been one that a customer had brought me, then I'd still been going to Walmart and buying them another one, because I didn't take the time to do that practice burn ahead of time. So if there's any other questions, go ahead, and if you're watching this after we're done with the live interview, go ahead and feel free to leave them in the comments, and we will try to get back to them as quickly as we can. As always, have a great night, be safe, and remember, do not leave your machines unattended while they're in use, whether it's the lasers, the CNC routers, CO2s, or any other machine. Always be in the same room with that machine. It doesn't take but a split second for something to happen, and you've got a major issue on your hands, either to your house, garage, wherever you're using the machine, or just the machine itself. You know, they're not the world's most expensive machines, but at the end of the day, they still do cost, and they cost to replace parts and even replace the machine. So always stay in the room with your machines. If you need to go to the bathroom or something, hit pause, walk out, go to the bathroom, do what you got to do, come back, start it back. Don't leave it running. It only takes a second. Good night, guys.